All right, everyone, welcome back into another fantasy golf video. Have a lot to cover in this video. We'll be talking about a lot of round one bets, best ball bets, head-to-head bets, prize picks, and underdog prop bets there for you. Also talking about some tournament bets, my favorite head-to-head bets there, as well as my favorite outright bets that you guys can also use as placement bets. Obviously, that's up to you guys. If you did that last week, had a very good week. But we are going to start off here DFS-wise, talking about some ownership leverage. Let's go ahead and get into that. So guys, again, last week ended up being a pretty awesome leverage week just in general. That was kind of expected, just looking at some of the ownerships we were getting. Jason Day, again, I hate to say it again, but being like sub 10% owned as like one of the best plays on the board and not being chalk was a head scratcher, especially as price tag. And so we saw that a decent amount, and we actually saw a lot of players that were over owned not really produce as well. So it ended up being a pretty massive ownership leverage week, which was, I think, a good reason as to why it ended up being a good week, even though Sanjay ended up missing the cut. Now let's start off here with some interesting spots. Okay, ownership wise, I want to talk about Willie Z. So we are seeing that he is pretty chalk, and I do think that Will Zalatoris being chalk does somewhat make sense given kind of the constraints that we have this week with a lot of players withdrawing. But when we do compare him against some plays that are, maybe slightly better than him, but also cheaper, that's where it starts to get interesting. So we look at Taylor Pendrith here, guys, a little bit lower owned, not that much owned, but he is properly owned basically at that price tag. But then we go down to someone like Aaron Rai, who on paper is a better play than Will Zalatoris, and he's only 13% owned. To me, that's a decent spot. And to me, we are seeing that he is, a very good leverage rank play in the 9-to-5 data, but let's also compare just like the leverage to like what Vegas's expectations are. So to me, I'm reading this guy's Maverick McNeely at his price tag to me is a very good leverage play, both in the 9-to-5 data and Vegas. Okay, Vegas really expects him to have a good week, and at 5%, he's being undervalued. He only needs to make the cut to return value at that ownership. Same thing with Sam Stevens, Mark Hubbard, Ben Griffin, Hideki, and Sanjay Im are coming in a little bit lower owned. I actually really don't mind Hideki, guys. That's interesting. Let's take a peek there. So this is interesting. Ober and Hideki are kind of clearly the top two choices. This might skew me to get a little bit more on Hideki, who's actually lower priced. You get into Tony Finau, who has tremendous course history, but a random miscut, also struggled last week. I think he was just shaking off the rest, but that's interesting. Sanjay, we've seen he's a little bit hit or miss at this tournament, coming in off of a miscut at this tournament and also recently. Max Gracerman as well. He's not a lock and load play, obviously has great form, great stat fit. Very interesting there. But going back to kind of the leverage spots, Stefan Jaeger is interesting here, guys, because to me, he makes for a great GPP play, a phenomenal GPP play. He kind of he's Jason Day this week, just a little bit cheaper and probably less winning upside. But that's an interesting spot. I don't know if we necessarily need to fade. Any of these guys are a little bit too high owned. I mean, Willie Z maybe be a little bit less in the field because I put this in the write-up. Let's get into that write-up. So the data doesn't really like him, and you can see why. Like the form going back to like 7 starts, which is what we use as like the predictable kind of form data point. But if you look at over his last 5 starts, it's actually much better. So if you skew it more for this season, even more so, or more recent starts, he comes in as like the 5th best play. What's interesting is he does well on these greens. Now, another thing that's knocking him data-wise is the fact that he's a terrible specialist. But this is one of those things where if we look at kind of his data here, he's right here, obviously has tremendous course history. So I think we can kind of overlook the fact that he's a terrible specialist. I don't think we want to go crazy with that, but I see where people are gearing into him. But you do look at some of the other players that are around him that actually rank out better, and it makes sense both ways. I'm toying around with him. I'm very much on the fence with him being an outright bet, and I don't know if I want to get there or not just yet. And I did just mention outright wise, guys, like I'm on Jason Day, but like at the same time, Jaeger is basically the exact same play, and you can get him at longer odds. So interesting there. Now, I do want to get into the golfers that are a little bit too low owned here. So let's get into that. Mark Hubbard. Mark Hubbard actually projects out extremely well. Mark Hubbard is someone that, if he's going to play well, does really need to play well on the North course, though. That is definitely something that is needed. And then Shane Lowry, I kind of mentioned my concerns with Shane Lowry just not having a competitive round thus far this 2025 season. And that's a little bit of a concern, but he made the cut at this tournament last year. And we see him typically be able to do that, but it would be nice to see him, even at that price tag, have played a competitive round. Ben Griffin, a little bit hit or miss. And then, Hideki and Sanjay. I'm kind of okay with those golfers, especially getting leverage on them. I think that makes sense. All right, guys. So then let's go ahead now and get into the kind of the round 1 showdown and first round leader picks. We can go by course. Again, if you guys are betting on first round leaders, low round leaders for, whichever golf course. Again, last week, a little bit unfortunate in round 1 with Nick Taylor making a bogey on 18 to not full cash. We ended up like making 1 unit of profit on that, 1.27 units profit betting on the low round golfer. And that's because Max Graceman, in a way, I guess you could say, bailed us out in the final 3rd round there. And we were able to hit 3 total, 2 chopped up, and then Graceman hitting full, which was pretty nice. Didn't do anything for round 4. But again, this is a spot where we probably want to be concentrating, again, on low round golfers, where you're probably just betting 3, maybe 4, probably just 3. Really just depends on the odds. But in simple, guys, the best showdown plays and also the golfers you want to be targeting for the North course. And that's the thing you want to be, for showdown purposes, you want to be targeting the North course. We got Willie Z, Aubert, Aaron Rye, and Ben Griffin. Not really many shocks there. And so we'll go ahead and show you guys kind of the first round leaderboard, what we could be looking at there instead. And so what we're looking at, guys, we can get, just compare it against the sites. We can get Willie Z at an average odds of 18 to 1, Aubert 12 to 1, Aaron Rye 28 to 1. And then if you want to go to Ben Griffin, 28 to 1 as well. That's not terrible. We'll take a peek at the South course here. Again, for like best ball draft purposes, you don't want to be targeting the South course, a little bit more difficult, longer. Typically speaking, it's the North course. Showdown purposes, obviously North course is what you want to be targeting. But looking at it, guys, it's pretty straightforward. If you want to go 4, maybe you're a little bit worried about Shane Lowry. Obviously, again, with him not playing any competitive rounds, maybe it's a little bit rusty. It could just go Jason Day 21, Sungjae M 10 to 1, and then Hideki 14 to 1. That could be a route that you go there as well. So, guys, just taking a peek at the round 1 3-ball bets that we were getting. Last week, it was not a good week, 3-ball/2-ball bets. It was the first time in quite some time, which definitely is strange because it was a really good data week last week, minus against Sungjae and missing the cut. So it was very strange that didn't happen, but a lot of kind of fluke performances by golfers, really, especially on Sunday's round. It was strange. 2 weeks ago, just awesome. One of the best weeks we could ask for 3-ball bets, probably on the season, where it's just like over 20 units of profit just in 3-ball bets. So interesting there. A little bit of a balancing act, obviously. But looking at it, guys, we are getting plenty of great prop bets. Typically, I'm telling people, all these bets are like 40% likelihood or better to hit. Let's just bet on all those. Now, that's a lot if you guys end up doing that. But if you guys want to go that route, by all means, you can do that. Or if you want to go on any golfer that has a 40% likelihood to win, but also does have, he's going to pay out 2 point whatever to 1. So if you're Aaron Rye, if you bet a unit on him, you're going to profit 1.46 units. And so that's what I like. And so if we do maybe a shorter list, Aaron Rye is a great bet. Matt Wallace is a good bet. Garrett Kigo, Svensson, maybe Gracerman there. Even Taylor Pendrith there. We do have Patrick Fishburne, who really sucked last week. Interesting there. Maybe Bo Hazler. Very awesome one would be Daniel Berger. You can get him at like 3 to 1, which is insane. But that's kind of the route I'm going here. Maybe, but obviously that's really up to you guys. I tend to just say, let's just bet all the ones that have 40% likelihood to hit. That'll work itself out in the long term. All right, guys, so let's go ahead now and get into the best tournament bets that we are getting. Last week, we actually went 3 for 3 on these, which was very nice. Let's see where we're getting the best EV bets here right now. Jason Day to beat Tony Finau. So you can get that at plus 100. Okay, that's pretty crazy to me. Jason Day, very solid. I like that. And then Sungjae M beating Hideki as well, plus 115. And if you look at it, guys, the data likes Hideki more. Okay, this actually happened last week as well. But when you look at the odds that we're getting and you adjust it for the likelihood for maybe Sungjae to outplay Hideki, then we're sitting pretty good on that one. But it's because DraftKings is overvaluing Hideki's likelihood to win this matchup when we compare it against the average sportsbook. And so in simple, guys, DraftKings is only giving Sungjae about a 46.5% likelihood to win this matchup between Hideki, whereas all the other books are giving him about a 48.2% likelihood. Okay, so we do still see he is not the favorite to win. There's not an over 50% likelihood for him to win, but when we see the line there, we see that it's wrong. And another one you could go with here, Max Homa over Shane Lowry, but then the 9 to 5 data is not exactly agreeing with that assessment as well. So 2 good bets there. Jason Day beating Tony Finau plus 100. Sungjae beating Hideki plus 115. Then let's go ahead and get into the round bets. I don't know if we're going to be getting any EV bets here. Typically we don't. Like 1, maybe 2. If you guys want to run those out, you can. So let's take a peek at the 9 to 5 data. Where are we getting the biggest edges there? Thomas Dietrich beating Daniel Berger minus 115. Okay, that's fine. Kurt Kitayama beating Max Homa minus 115. That's okay. And then Bo Hosler. We'll go Bo Hosler. I don't know. We're not doing that one. Just these top two guys. Just these top two for the matchup bets for round one. So guys, let's go ahead now and jump on into the outright bets. To me, guys, it's pretty simple. The first two clicks this week, kind of like last week. Last week we had two clicks that were extremely easy to make. Ben Griffin, Jason Day. Obviously those were good calls. Nearly worked out for us with both of them finishing top 10. If you guys want to bet them two top 10, you can do that. But to me, those first two clicks, Taylor Pendrith and Aaron Rai, we should be going out of our way to target those two golfers for sure. And obviously that's just due to both these golfers kind of just coming in, checking all the boxes for this week. It is a lot like last week with Griffin and also Jason Day. For sure, Jason Day. But let's look at the odds. So if you guys want to end up betting them, like Taylor Pendrith to top 20, to get him at 2-1 seems pretty crazy to me as well. We see across the board, you can still get him at 35-1 on FanDuel, which again, for a golfer that ranks out third best in the 9-to-5 model and fifth overall, pretty darn good odds there. I feel very comfortable getting a top 5 option at 35-1. That's great. Then we go down to Aaron Rai as well. The only issue with Aaron Rai is the only time we've seen him thus far in 2025 was at the Century where he finished 15th, but we'll take that still. But again, he's someone interesting. To top 20, you can get him at 2-1 as well, which again, pretty good. Or points bet 2.2-1, which obviously take the best odds possible. But we can get him at 60-1 now. Are you kidding? 60-1 on FanDuel for Aaron? Why we have seen players drop out? Harry Hall, and his odds have gotten worse. This is where I always find it funny, guys, the Monday people that are betting, oh, we need to fire off these, bets to get the best odds. And I'm always like, if I'm giving people advice, I would say don't do that. Like, I get where they're coming from. Like, you do want to place the best bets that you're getting, but a lot of the time odds get worse as well throughout the week. And that's the example here with Aaron Rai. For no real reason, his odds have gotten worse. You can get him at 60-1 on FanDuel. And so it's like, all right, you can either do it two ways, guys, outright bet him. You can maybe try to get some early value, but then you're going to be probably placing bad bets, if that makes sense. Like, you're going to miss some stuff that actually matter for that tournament. And a lot of the times we're not getting the data update just yet by the time we start to get odds in. And so the typical approach I tell people is like, wait, the best bets you're going to make are going to be the ones that are typically the day before, a few hours, 12 hours, let's say, before the event starts. That's typically speaking. If you guys are wondering why 9-to-5 has so much success outright betting or just betting, that's why. We don't force it. We let the bets come to us. And for example purposes, those two golfers to me are golfers that are, kind of just clear options. We should be betting on them. We could stop there because I'm starting to go down the road where I'm like, all right, Hideki and Aubert, kind of the next two best options. I do think they have a great chance to win if they show up. I do like the fact that we're getting them at 10-1 still. Very good odds there. But then you start to go down the rabbit hole. It's all right. Keegan, I do like it as well. You can get him at 22-1 on all books. Max Gracerman clearly is a decent option. And then you look at Jason Day. Obviously, I like him, but I mentioned, all right, if I'm betting Jason Day, could easily end up betting Stefan Jaeger. And then if we're betting on those two, might as well just get to Willie Z. It's kind of the rabbit hole I'm going down. I could see betting 9, adding in Jaeger into this mix. But in simple, we do know Aaron Rai, Taylor Pendrith. Those are the two easy clicks there. And then, guys, real quickly, let's go ahead and get into some prize picks and underdog prop bets. Really nothing too crazy here in terms of like big edges. We do see Ludwig Aubert to beat Keegan Bradley as one of the better bets. Okay, that's fine. 53% likely to hit here. But as always, I do like to start with kind of filtering by the prop line differences. So Aaron Rai, I actually think he has a great chance to shoot under 69, guys. So on underdog, I want to be betting the under there of 69. And just a reminder, if you guys are someone that is trying to bet on underdog for the first time, make sure you use the promo code 925 spelled out. You can actually get a $1,000 match when you deposit. Sorry, said that wrong. If you were to, for say, deposit $2,000, you would get $1,000 in free money. So it's a 50% match there, or I think a better example, a lot of people do $200 and they get $100 as a match, which is pretty nice. It's an easy way to support the channel there as well. But looking at it, guys, Aaron Rai, Ludwig Aubert, Sungjae, and Tony Finau. The one with Tony Finau with his birdies or better is interesting, 3.5. On average, this course for him specifically gives up 3.7. And so, yeah, I do think there's a great chance for him to get to 4 birdies. You could actually end up betting the under there, 4 birdies, knowing that he needs to get a 5 there. But I do think there's a good chance he gets 4 birdies. So I actually don't mind that over there on underdog as well. So right away, I'm thinking Tony Finau over 3.5 birdies or better, and then Aaron Rai under 69 strokes. I think that's the best route to go. But that's really the biggest prop line differences that we are getting. Then let's actually just go ahead and sort it here real quickly by the actual good edge bets that we are getting. Ignore. So because they're playing on different courses, the edges are somewhat wrong. Full disclosure, I don't have that calculated and I don't have that there. I actually took off PGA bets off the cheat sheet, so it's not like skewing people's thoughts there, just as an FYI. But this will still kind of calculate what are the best edges for us, but it's not going to be like, oh, this is not a 66% likely to hit, but this is still going to be one of the better bets, if that makes sense. And again, with PGA bets, we just want to be targeting really the bets that have the biggest prop line differences anyways. And so with it, guys, just jumping into kind of my 2 favorite bets here for Prize Picks. Tony Finau then to get less than 4 birdies, because I think this has a great chance to be a push. It's going to be tough for him to get 2 5 birdies. And then we look at Aubert. I do think he has a good chance to beat that matchup against Keegan. And then for underdog, this is what I'd be looking at there as well. So kind of a hedge there with Tony Finau. But again, I think the line at being 4 is correct. And so I'm kind of okay with that. And then Aaron Rai, I do think we'll go and have a good round 1 there. So chances are this will be a push as well. So maybe on the day we end up with 2 pushes, whatever, but that's kind of the way I'm attacking that there as well. So that's going to do it, guys, for this video. Obviously a lot I covered here. Didn't want to make 2 videos here, so I kind of put the round 1 coverage and then outright bets together in one. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the coverage. Again, if you guys want access to any of the tools available on 9to5sports.com, there are so many fantasy golf tools. It's your one-stop shop for PGA DFS, all for just $10 a month. Best value out there. I priced it that way for you guys, so you guys can have premium information for just $10 a month. Included in that $10 a month membership is going to be access to the Prize Picks and Underdog tools for all the other various sports as well. Check that out, guys. Great value. That's all. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.